Now, I'm delighted to welcome to the show the most beautiful icon that I think everyone will agree, Audrey Hepburn, her son, Luca Dotti. Great to have you on the show, Luca.
Thank you for having me, Selina.
You're very welcome. Now, I do want to talk about the latest book, which is obviously Audrey Hepburn in Paris, but a little about your gorgeous mum. What do you remember about her? Because we see her as this beautiful, iconic film star, and you saw her as a bit of a home bird.
Sure, because, you know, the great present she made to us, to my brother and myself, was to basically quit her career to grow us up. So we, at home, knew our mother rather than an icon, a star, or whatever she's known for, and that was quite a privilege, you know, because the life of an entertainer is very busy. In those days, it implied a lot of traveling, you know, and so we were very lucky to have as normal as it could get.
Yeah, indeed. I was reading, I mean, we see her in this, well, it's some gorgeous clothes, but in Breakfast at Tiffany's, of course, that iconic black dress. But you say you remember her in jeans and T-shirts.
Well, most of the time, of course, she had her nights outs, and especially in Los Angeles when it was, you know, Academy Award related, and she enjoyed wearing a Givenchy. But at home, mainly in Switzerland, in the countryside, she would dress like a countryside woman.
Yeah, a normal mum. Love that. Did you know, Luca, growing up in your early years, that she was a movie star? Or did you just see her as mum?
Well, both. Mainly I saw her as mum. Well, it was a different time. We have to remember that, well, for one thing, she was alive. So she hadn't gained this iconic thing like Marilyn Monroe, James Dean, and the others, you know, with a tragic death. And the times were a little bit different. There was of course, no internet, Twitter, Instagram, and all the things and so we were somehow protected. Of course, there were vibes around us, mainly coming from the parents of my friends at school, you know, who knew who she was, and they were telling them, you know, watch out for Luca's mom, she's very special. And that's funny enough, they were a little bit worried because in a children imagination, somebody special, it might be, you know, I'm talking very early years, worrisome, you know, yes. Like a witch.
Yes.
And then they came home and met her, and she was, and they were going to me, you know, your mom is real normal. I don't understand why my parents have made all this fuss about it.
Yes, I understand. And I know one of your books previously was about your memories of her in the kitchen. Was she a good cook then?
Well, she was a good cook, but especially she enjoyed and she insisted on time around the table. It was breakfast or dinner, lunches, were really the time where, you know, everybody could talk, you know, with like it should be. So in that, she was a very classical mom.
Yeah, love that. So let's get to this latest book then. I know you've read this with Megan Friedlander. Is she somebody you know? Is she a fan of your mum?
Well, Megan, to start with, she's without any offense to the others, but she's one of the top bloggers on my mom. And our paths crossed that was 2011, so that's more than 10 years ago. I was putting up an Audrey Hepburn exhibit here in Rome, where I live, and I stumbled upon her on her blog, and, you know, little by little we got in contact and we exchanged a lot of random notes, information, because there's wonderful words on the web that really sees my mother at a 360-degree angle. You know, not only the the star, the icon, the fashion icon and things like that. But the new generation is really interested in her whole life. And Meghan is really, really good in writing, and she's fantastic with her archive. She has a lot of unseen photographs and knows how to source them. And that's where the gig of making the book together, she did 99% of the heavy lift. So the merit really goes to her for this wonderful book. And I assisted her as much as I could. But the reason why I picked her is that for my two previous books were more than 50% was direct experience,
of course.
And here we were talking at times I didn't really share with my mother, where we both lived in Paris at different times and places, but I wanted somebody, and Meghan was the right person, to really travel back in time and not have a book which is like a dictionary, an encyclopedia on fashion, but more like a daily diary. So I started with Meghan that she took she kept more than took, she kept her perspective. She didn't alter it, and she's very young. She started doing this blog when she was 14 or 15, and I wanted her to have this fresh look. Like if she was a reporter in a time machine, following my mother's steps, like on a daily basis. And of course, there's a lot of fashion and a lot of wonderful photos. But what really makes the book is her writing, her sensibility, and her perspective, which is makes it fresh and easy to read, and I think be good beyond the classical Audrey fan audience.
Yeah, I agree with you. And each chapter focuses on a different aspect of Paris. What was it about Paris that she loved? Was it the fashion?
Well, the story between Paris and my mother goes way back, basically to her first international movie, which was not an important one, which was called Monte Carlo Baby. And she got the part because the film was filmed in French and English, and she could speak fluently both. And so in Paris, she signed the first agreement. Thanks to that movie, she met Colette, who signed her on Broadway on her Gigi play, which was a big bust in my mother's life. And so even before the biggest movies like Sabrina and Funny Face that everybody knows, and especially Meeting with Audrey Hepburn, with Hubert de Givenchy, there's always been a symbiotic relationship between her and Paris.
She did Sabrina when she was only 22, didn't she?
Yes. Well, that for us today, that's an important thing to remind to the audience, because it was something that my mother always complained about. It sounds very young for the time. She felt she was behind, and the reason why is that a lot of years where other actors started their career, she was in Holland during the war. So wow. she came to the business of what she called always being late and unprepared, and that created on one side her sense of she felt as an imposter on one side, but on the other it kept her head screwed onto her shoulders.
Yes, of course. And of course, you mentioned some of the films. We think about Givenchy, we think about Giambattista Valli. Does the book go through things that she did in Paris when she wasn't working, like her favourite shops and coffee bars and things like that?
Well, absolutely, because the book, in a way, is also, you can read it as a guide in Paris, and Paris in a time that was also very different as we imagine it today, in the sense that all these brands and all these places were really persons and addresses. Givenchy was not a brand; it was a man with his atelier. The same for Louis Vuitton and all the other brands that we now identified as international logos, if you want. In those days, it was really persons and acquaintances, and finally friends, and that's an important part of this book and all of through my mother's career, that the persons that she met really became friends. It was a time that allowed this kind of relationship.
Are there quotes and anecdotes from her friends in the book?
There are some quotes. It's not a quote per se, a quotes book, but there are a lot of intimate remembrance and a lot of behind the scenes.
Yeah. Do you know which part of Paris she loved the most? I guess all of it.
Well, I think she loved Paris as a whole in a very special way, because as we said at the beginning of our conversation, she enjoyed most living in the countryside. So in a very peculiar way, Paris was her office, really. But an office where she could wear fantastic dresses, go on nights out. It was really I wouldn't say the opposite of her, but an important side of her life that where she would jump on and off.
Yeah. And as you say, along with Megan's fantastic writing, we've got here illustrated with 200 full colour and black and white photographs. And these are some never published before photographs. Are these from you then?
Some are from our archives, but a lot of them were sourced by Megan. And there's a story that a little bit represents this search Megan did for the book, but also did all through her career. The cover photo was lost in the sense that the Douglas Kirkland who shot it had somehow lost it. His archive didn't have it anymore. Nobody knew where it ended. And Megan, a few years ago, stumbled by chance on an online auction, and where there was basically imagine a box with a big bunch of photos, and she was not even sure what was inside. And quite unbelievably, it was an original. And for some reason, possibly because at the time it was discarded because the marketing didn't want it. So that photo that now makes the cover, which is, I believe, a perfect one to illustrate the Paris concept, gained a second life. And that's the beautiful thing about archives. You can always find little treasures like that, and there are tons of them in the book.
Yeah, it's the one with a lace mask on, isn't it? It's very beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, gorgeous. Well, obviously we're talking about Paris, but Rome was her home as well. I know, obviously, she was married to your father, Professor Audrey Dotti. In 2011, you did Audrey in Rome for UNICEF. Was that an exhibition?
Yes, that was an exhibition, and let's call it the catalog of the exhibition, which is not a catalog. It's actually a very nice photographic book. Gained a life of itself and was, very well received around the world in many different reprints and things. And the story behind that is that of all things in life. UNICEF wanted an exhibition around Breakfast at Tiffany. And I was like, it's like Breakfast at Tiffany is a New York story. Why not talk about the Rome story? And the choice, at the beginning was quite a bet, because we were not sure exactly what we would find, was to focus on reporters' photographs, what in those days we used to call paparazzis, And the beauty is that, times change, tastes change for photographers as well. And therefore we find a lot of unpublished photographs that at the time were rejected because maybe a little blurry or not in the taste of the times. And it's a fantastic book, I believe. Simple concept, but it's a bridge between, because when you are photographed in the streets, it's a bridge between your private and your public life.
Yes, I'm sure it is. Well, from Rome to Paris to here in Spain where we are, and apparently your mum used to have a house just up the road from our studios.
Where are your studios?
We're not far from Guadalmina. I think that was where it was. We're near Marbella.
Oh, in Marbella, yes. I had a house in Marbella She stayed a lot of times in one of the hotels, and then she had a house. I have some photos, but that's why I have very little. Well, I have no memories about those times because I was yet to be born. But she spent quite a lot of time there. Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Well, the book sounds amazing. Audrey Hepburn in Paris is what it's called. It reveals the beloved star as never before and pays homage to the city that shaped so much of Audrey's life through Audrey's eyes. It's by Luca Dotti, her son, who we're speaking to now, and Megan Friedlander, and we're selling it now on our website. Luca, it's been an absolute delight to chat to you. Thank you for sharing a bit of your mum's life.
Selina, my pleasure. And again, thank you very much. And I hope your audience enjoys the book.
I'm sure they will. Thank you, Luca. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.